Coming to you from my underground bunker for oppressed Americans. Today we'll be dealing with CovIdiots. Right now there's a push to focus on one, continuing to open up everything, and two, to work on reopening schools, despite the reality of different states playing tag with becoming the epicenter for the virus. Now, a lot of people are whining and complaining about, when will this end? Am I supposed to do this for the rest of my life? How is this different from the flu? Let's answer those questions. Are you supposed to do it for the rest of your life? No, you fucking idiot. The answer has been, we're waiting on a vaccine. Well, some things don't have a vaccine. Then we're waiting on a treatment. Those things get a treatment, don't they? And a treatment means that more than likely, when you go to the hospital, they know what to do about it. They give you the best chances of success. And three, of course, we're waiting to have it under enough control that, yes, there will be people going into the hospital at various levels at various times, but the hospitals will never be anywhere near capacity or whatever else. We may go on for years of a certain percentage of the population getting COVID. It may be with us like certain illnesses are. And then, of course, we're not talking about it. There's immediate treatment that people get. Some people will survive, some people won't. But it won't be about large swaths of the population dying and filling up hospital beds. That's a big difference. Well, the flu happens. No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen like this. It doesn't fill up all of our hospitals with people having a good chance to die. It doesn't incubate. If somebody has the flu, you know fairly quickly that they have the flu, and they know fairly quickly that they have the flu. There's very little chance that they're running around for 2 weeks infecting other people. There's not really even a asymptomatic version of the flu that we get every year. So there are night and day contrasts. The asymptomatic nature, the ability of this to become an epidemic or pandemic at any time and overwhelm our medical professionals. That our medical professionals are scared shitless and worked overtime and are dying from it. That's not common for the flu or anything else. Just from trying to treat the ill, do we lose medical professionals? And it is a total disservice to them to keep flooding the hospitals with your rights. You don't want to wear a mask, then stay home. You have to wear a mask to go outside. You don't want to wear a mask, keep your dumb ass in the house. That's not complicated. Nobody requires a mask in the house. Just don't go around other people. You know, this country has spent 2 decades of blood and treasure because of those 3,000 deaths on 9/11. We have 130,000 deaths because Americans are running around like suicide bombers, murdering each other on a public health issue. If you're running around infecting people because you don't think you will die, you're sick. And we should just load a plane and put all those people on their own island and they can run around and frolic or whatever else until they kill each other off. Because it's disgusting that you don't understand. People wear a mask, one, not to get ill because you do not know how you're going to turn out. It's killed everything from small children, and there are elderly people over 100 being wheeled back out of the hospital. There's no rhyme or reason to who's going to live or who's going to die. And just because you think you won't die, you're willing to go out there and risk and kill other people. And this numbskull is so worried that the economy won't be back on track by November and he'll be blamed for it, that he doesn't care. He came back out when there was 60,000 and said, yeah, we've leveled out. We've doubled that in the last 6 weeks. From 60 to 130. And still it's full steam ahead, him and Munchkin Clown DeSantis down in Florida. Just so worried about the election, they don't care how many more Americans die. We have 3 million cases. At that rate, we have at least a number of about 450,000 people that are going to die if nothing changed. If no one else had it right now today, and no one else that isn't getting ready to die from it dies from it, just statistically, we would be looking at about 400,000 deaths, many of which didn't have to die, or dying because they were told it was safe to go back out, or dying because some asshole doesn't want a mask for whatever reason, or that they're deemed essential to do nothing. So it's very sickening that this is important. And now to try to frame it as people are trying to stay alive as an attempt to hurt Trump. No, what you mean to say is Trump, these Republican governors, and the blowhards on Fox News are willing to kill another 100,000 Americans trying to get Trump reelected. It's all political for him. Don't say they are citing the growing numbers as a way to hurt Trump. Either the numbers are growing or not. Either we have 130,000 people dead or we don't. Those people didn't die to hurt Trump's chances. As a matter of fact, the economy could be in the toilet. But if Trump was a great steward of the pandemic, he wouldn't be blamed and would probably be reelected because nobody likes to change leaders during a crisis. If you're the leader during a crisis, only Republican we've had get the popular vote since HW is W because it was wartime. He didn't get it in 2000, and no Republican has gotten it since. Because if you have something like that, you can hold on to it. If Trump wanted to be elected, he would put on a MAGA hat, a Black Lives Matter shirt, and a mask. He would explain to his base, rather than riling them up and giving them red meat about Black Lives Matter, explain to them what it means. Have somebody explain it to him what the fuck it means first, and then relay that to his constituents. Done. Put on the mask. Explain it again to his constituents. Guys, let's just be safe first. It's better safe than sorry. Hey, we all support the cops, but we're going to make some serious changes. I want to be clear. I want to look directly into the camera and tell you police brutality will not be tolerated. But you're getting out and making sure there's 10 years for pulling down statues. You should say if a cop is found guilty of doing any of this type of stuff, I want the book thrown at him. And if that state, and if that prosecutor, if that county won't do it, I will send in the federal government. Instead, it's all National Guards will go to protect Confederates. All he has to do for success is change his narrative. But instead, he's chasing this smaller and smaller group. DeSantis, Trump, it's Florida. It's God's waiting. There are a bunch of old and elderly people in Florida who are not going to vote for you because this is stupid. I'm going to play these couple of videos versus Laura Ingraham. You know, I think they feel like mission is accomplished. First, everybody comes out like they're going to say the right thing. George Floyd, that was wrong. And they did a little bit of a pivot for you. So talking about rioters and looters. Abolish the police. Now we're back to reopening. Because now they feel like they've completely hijacked Black Lives Matter. We can push that aside and go back to what we were talking about. So, we don't need to do police reforms. Sean Hannity's on TV talking about progress that's been made, but we have a long way to go. But no, you guys are on TV 24 hours a day telling people that not only has the progress been made, but too much progress has been made. If everybody said a lot of progress has been made, but we have a long way to go, and stop right there. Stop telling people they're abused by affirmative action. Stop telling people that people deserve to be killed by police. Stop telling people all this nonsense. And stop with what you know to be true, what you said to be true. And let's move forward from the reality of the point. Not what you get your viewers to watch your shows about, which is they're the victim of blacks and Mexicans and Muslims and this, that, and other. Selling them identity politics, selling them victimhood. So I'm going to let you watch some of this foolishness versus Laura Ingraham, then Governor DeStupid in Florida, and then a little bit of reality check from Good Morning America, who don't offer much of an opinion in the snippet that I included.
In early April, I began to warn about the damage extended lockdowns would have on America. And since then, we've experienced millions of job losses, added trillions to our debt, and experienced terrible riots. But one of the first things that happened, and the worst things that happened, was how much learning was lost by our kids by being locked out of their classrooms. So with the Trump recovery fully underway, Democrats are shifting back to their default position. Shut the economy down. Yes, that's where they are now. And that includes, of course, our schools. Now, they cite the rising COVID infection rates in certain states.
We spent months saying that there were certain things that were essential. And that included fast food restaurants. It included Walmart. It included Home Depot. If fast food and Walmart and Home Depot, and look, I do all that, so I'm not like looking down on it, but if all that is essential, then educating our kids is absolutely essential. And they have been put to the back of the line in some respects. Florida's done a better job with distance learning, I think, than any other state. But I'll tell you, there's a gap here. There's big gaps around the country, and we need to put them, give them the opportunity to go in person. I could say as a parent, I have a newborn, I have a 2-year-old, I have a 3-year-old. They're not old enough to go to school, so obviously they won't be in kindergarten or anything coming up. But I would not hesitate putting them in terms of the risk, because the risk, fortunately for kids, is extremely, extremely low. That data has been verified in virtually every single country, every single state. And we kind of knew that in March.
Begin with the coronavirus pandemic this morning as the number of new daily cases climbs past 50,000 again. There are new signs that reopening too soon is having dire consequences. Take a look at this chart. It shows the change in average daily cases since reopening. Florida was one of the first to ease restrictions, and now it is one of the hardest hit.
And now hear this. Dr. Fauci says some states may need to pause, consider rolling back the reopenings. 13 states now reporting issues with testing availability and access.
That includes Arizona, where 1/3 of the COVID tests are coming back positive.
All right, I'm back. So, let me tell you what's going to happen when they reopen schools. People aren't going to show up. Teachers aren't going to go on strike. They're going to call off, like the police who defend police brutality. They're calling in and they're going to let crime run rampant. Well, the teachers are going to do the same thing. They're 40, they're 50, they're 60 years old, and they're not going to die to watch your snot-nosed kid come from some home where somebody thinks catching a virus is life, liberty, and the American way. 2, all the parents aren't going to send their kids around all these people whose kids are sick and all of this kind of stuff. Because under normal circumstances, if your child has a chance to be sick and might bring an illness, from chickenpox to the flu, the child goes home. Now all the children may have an illness, and they're all being forced to go. It's completely freaking backwards. No other time have we chosen to do that. So now, if all the parents don't send their students, because it doesn't care what any of these governors say, it doesn't matter what the president is doing for his election campaign. People are not sending their kids for whatever reason. You don't know enough definitively about this illness to say it's going to be fine. Numbskull is comparing it to going into a Home Depot for 20 minutes to buy a wrench with a mask on as an adult, to controlling kids for 8 hours in an enclosed environment breathing recycled air. One's plausible with telling an adult put on a mask, and that ain't even working. Which is an adult, don't climb up on each other's ass and stop breathing in each other's face, and that's being difficult. And we're going to try that with kids. So a lot of parents aren't even going to chance it. It's not even worth it. So then the school district will have to say, okay, I have to teach these kids in this classroom, and half my class isn't here and they're online. So now this poor teacher is trying to do both. And you're talking about traumatizing kids. We traumatize the kids like this. Some 11-year-old is in 5th grade. And all of a sudden, her 62-year-old teacher gets sick and dies. They test all the kids, trying to contact trace, come out where it's from, and they find out, oh, she was carrying it. She was asymptomatic, but that's how her teacher was killed. You want to traumatize a kid? Have a few dozen teachers die this year, and the finger be pointed back to one of their students that was at the desk in their face, and say, you know why Miss Johnson is dead, Susie? You murdered her. You had COVID, you didn't know it, you're a kid, you didn't get sick. You brought it from your right-wing parents who don't care either way. And now your teacher is dead. So that is too much to put on kids. You may not care about risking killing other people, but that's still a tremendous burden to put on a child. So all this country has to do is stop being the dumbest country for handling the COVID virus. It's a virus. Let it die. Stop reigniting. This virus is so thankful for America, it does not know what to do. This is the country that's given it to the most people for the longest time and experienced continuous waves. It's disappointing. COVID is disappointed with Singapore and other countries that got on top of it. It loves America because this is a lot of people getting it over and over and over again. So, give it some thought. Figure it out. A real answer. Because as the schools open, only to reclose, only to shut down, only to have an online and in-person curriculum, it's going to be a clustercluck. It's not going to work. As usual, fuck you. I don't need you to subscribe. I don't care about your comments. I'm a grown-ass man, so my life doesn't revolve around likes. I'm just some guy, and only I know what's best. Have a great day.